Coach Carter is a 2005 American biographical sports drama film, starring Samuel L. Jackson, who we will talk about in 2 weeks, and directed by Thomas Carter. It is based on the true story of Richmond school basketball coach Ken Carter, who made headlines in 1999 for suspending his undefeated high school basketball team due to the poor academic results. The screenplay was co-written by John Gaddens and Mark Schwann. The cast features Rob Brown, Channing Tatum in his film debut. Seems to be like a running theme with us this month. Debbie Morgan, Robert Richard, and the singer Ashanti. The film was a co-production between MTV Films and Tollins Robbins Productions. It was commercially distributed by Paramount for theatrical release and home video rental. The film explores professional ethics, academics, and athletics. The sports action in the film was coordinated by Mark Ellis. On January 11th, the film soundtrack was released by Capitol Records. The film score was composed and orchestrated by musician Trevor Rabin. It was released January 14th, 2005. It earned $77 million against a $30 million budget, so this was also successful. It received varied reception from critics. It's won a handful of awards. It was nominated for a whole bunch more. Samuel L. Jackson won Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture at the ESPY Awards in 2005. Best Director, Thomas Carter at the Black Reel Awards 2006. Thomas Carter also won Outstanding Achievement in Directing at the BET Awards in 2005. And then, like I said, he was nominated by a bunch of shit. He was nominated for a whole bunch of... sorry, I actually had that wrong. Samuel L. Jackson won Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture for the as a NAACP Image Award. Ashanti actually was nominated for a couple of things. So that's this movie. So Coach Carter, kind of like what we talked about with the program a couple of years ago, where it deals with what to do with student athletes. In this case, it's high school students, and what the movie is about. And I'll get into the plot synopsis in just a second, but it basically says, what are student athletes? Are they just athletes, or are they students? Are they student athletes? What are they? Is the ability to do a sport more important than getting an education? And Jason, I really want you to just touch on this in 50 words or less. The amount of eligible high school and student athletes versus the amount of spots available in professional sports. Because outside of the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL, and yes, there are other leagues, there are other places in the world to play, but in terms of making a living, you ask most athletes, if you're not in the big one, you're not making money at this. It's a tough road to hoe. So, again, the astronomical odds of a student athlete fulfilling their destiny and making it to the big time. Go.
I think it's something like 0.001%.
The
Yeah,
lesson being,
there's there's actually a thing that breaks it down. And it's a football locker room has it. But yeah, it breaks down like from high school, making your high school team to making it to a professional level, and it's some astronomical like 0.001%. Um, and which is crazy. I mean, just to get a scholarship is astronomical odds to be in that upper echelon of like that particular sport. But yeah, to make it professionally is damn near impossible.
so you have a kid who has talent. That talent is fostered, and then we start telling the kid, your talent is more important than anything else. Work on your talent. And he could be the bestest, most able athlete in his immediate area. He still has astronomical competition. And the odds are he won't make it, or she won't make it. And then what are they supposed to do? Because they've learned nothing up to this point. They have not gotten the education they should have gotten. And all they were told was, if you did this one thing, it'll pay off, and then it doesn't pay off. What are you supposed to do?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark. Yeah, it's a little higher than that. 0.023%
Oh,
to
good.
make for a high school player to make it to the professional level.
So I think there's, and we're just talking for a minute before I get into the plot, but I think there's a valid argument to be made that if you are not reinforcing your education along the way with the opportunities afforded you, you're going to get to that place of graduating from college, if you're lucky, and having zero skills, zero knowledge, zero ability to take care of yourself, and you're going to be not much better off than you were before you entered high school and became a star athlete. And that is the point Samuel Jackson is trying to make in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a lot of things that you don't, and you see like you see coaches, players, parents talk about the biggest part of student athlete is the student part. And a lot of people think that if you don't make it, then you don't have success, and they don't think of it as, this could be my gateway to get out of a bad situation, get out of a small town, broaden my horizons, and get a free education. And that's what people don't realize is, if you do get a D, not even it doesn't even have to be D1. You get any kind of scholarship to play sports to get a free education. That's something that you can make a career, because sports, playing sports can be taken away from you in a blink of an eye with a major injury, and you want to have something to fall back on. But people don't see it that way. They think that if you've got the talent, then you have to go pro, and if you don't go pro, you're a failure in life.
I don't know what the percentage is, and I don't feel like asking my lab assistant Fancy. I named the AI Jason. The AI is
Okay.
named Fancy.
Okay.
I don't feel like asking my lab assistant Fancy, but I would imagine there's a fairly decent percentage of freshmen who are injured and unable to continue playing the sport throughout U.S. colleges.
Oh, no doubt.
Could you imagine that? You played 4 years of high school. You focused on nothing else. You did not, you were, you know, given gentleman C's and just socially promoted throughout high school. You were cared for. You were coddled. You were pushed because you had a talent in sports, and then you get to college and you step on the field or you step on the boards and you immediately break your leg. you know,
Or
and you'll
tear an
never
ACL, or tear
right.
an ACL.
Right, and you'll never play the piano again. Like, what the fuck do you do? Or God forbid, you get through all 4 years of college. You've now done 4 years of high school. You know nothing. You did 4 years of college where you majored in underwater basket weaving, and just as you start your senior year, or towards the end of the season, and you fucking get killed, and
which has happened.
yeah,
I've seen
like
I just read recently, I think a kid was 16 years old, got shot at an AAU tournament, and he was like one of the number. He was in the upper echelon, top 5%, his class, and he was at AAU tournament and got shot.
mm-hmm. Was like, did it kill him, or did he just get shot
Yeah,
and that's the end of his
yeah, he
playing?
got he
Okay.
got he got he got dead. He
Okay.
assumed room temperature.
Okay. Well, less than that, you can still severely injure yourself, and then that's the end. There's no professional sports for you. And then what have we learned? What do we know? What are we able to do at this point? You end up going home and, like, could you imagine some of these kids, like, they graduate college, they're not able to play sports anymore, they're injured or whatever, and they have to go back to, like, living with mom.
Well, we're going to discuss that next year when we'll dive deeper into that next year when we talk about the program prior to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the movie I was referring to earlier was National Championships. All right. So the plot to Coach Carter is the high school coach is retiring, and he is asked one of the local business owners, Samuel Jackson, to take over coaching. And Samuel Jackson comes in, and basically the first thing he does is instill discipline within the kids, personal discipline, things like don't use the N-word, show up on time. And the next thing he does, really the first thing as far as the athletic stuff is concerned, is he works on their endurance, because he was like, if we're constantly outrunning the other team, we're going to win games. And that is a successful strategy. It makes sense. If you can't breathe, you can't fight. So spends the first part of the movie doing that with them. There's a kid on the team who is caught between basketball and being a drug dealer, and he just has had enough of Samuel L. Jackson, so he quits the team. And he'll quit the team about 800 times throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But one of our POV characters is the kid from Finding Forrester, and he's about to have a baby. And hey, contrary to popular opinion, a 16, 17-year-old not equipped to father a child. He is struggling with this, Jason. He does not know what he wants to do.
Yeah, and he's good enough to possibly have a post high school career. So yeah, it delves into that, like
Yep.
if he's ready to be a father, what could happen. The relationship between him and his girlfriend, played by Shanti, what that transpires to. It does a good job of looking through the lens of very different struggles than he got gay. I mean, not he got gay, above the rim.
So one of the next things that happens is initially Samuel L. Jackson had said, we're all signing contracts. You will show up on time. You will also do all your schoolwork. You will sit in the front row. You will not be a nuisance. You will learn your lessons. You will be good students. And they go, yes, my love. And so, they're either not going to class or they're going to class, but they're not doing their schoolwork, and everyone's failing, and it's a big mess. So finally, Samuel L. Jackson, doing his best Edward James Olmos impression from Stand and Deliver, going, how do I get through to these kids? Basically was like, all right, I have fucking had enough of you. We're not doing basketball anymore. And by this point, the team is like undefeated. And I have to say, along the way, first the parents are just like, you want them to wear ties at games and not be animals? What's wrong with you? And he's like, yeah, okay. Maybe expect a little better of your children. Like, but they're basketball players. How do you expect them to learn to read and shit? And Samuel Jackson pulls what's left of his hair out. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and he goes, they're like, we don't got money for ties. They're like 25 cents down at Goodwill.
Yeah, they're like, well, I'm not shopping at Goodwill. We're not that poor. And Samuel L. Jackson just punches himself in the nuts. He's like, I hate all of you. So anyway, he's not listening to anybody. He's like, fuck you people. Then they don't play. I don't really care. They do as I say, or that's the end of you. So everyone's doing as Samuel Jackson is requesting. The kid eventually comes back, the drug dealer, and he's like, what do I have to do to be on the team? And Samuel was like, all the push-ups and suicides ever. All right. Along the way, they also learn to play as a team. And so they want him back, and because he's good. He can make an outside three-pointer pretty easily. So they start, helping him out. We have a good unified team again, and then, like I said, they're not going to class, not doing what they're supposed to do. So Samuel L. Jackson forfeits 2 games and shuts the gym. Basically says, we're going to use this time to study. This, of course, in like a Stand By Me moment, agitates the entire fucking neighborhood. All the parents, the PTA, God himself, all show up to be like, dude, we want him to win basketball games. And Samuel L. Jackson says everything I said at the first 5 minutes of this conversation. They're not all making it to the NBA. They might all go to college, but they have to actually be good students in order to do that. Let's all come back to reality here. And I believe they vote to force him to open the gym again. But by that point, the kids have really bought into what he's saying, which is you have to take the future into your own hands, and you can't bet it all on basketball like I do daily. But enough about my gambling hobby. So
speaking of which, I just lost my parlay.
Yeah, I don't know if I've lost mine yet. Let's see.
Marshall and South Alabama went over.
Oh, bulls. Bleh. Sucks. Sorry. Oklahoma's trailing Minnesota at the half. The fuck, Jason? Exactly.
I've got them too. I've got them too. So that's why this don't. We need to conversate. So whoever you take, I won't.
Okay.
So maybe
one. I wanted to devise betting strategies with you, but you and Pat, you're just like, oh, we keep it all to ourselves.
No, you don't. the last time you asked me about.
Sorry, you're not a pretty girl. I'm not chasing you. Just tell me what you're doing. I should have asked you.
Usually usually when I'm making bets, I'm
You
taking a
haven't
shit.
texted me anything other than sending me your stupid reels on Instagram in months. That's why I'm asking ChatGPT to help me pick bets.
Well, you see how that's doing.
I've won some hockey bets with it. Leave me alone. Anyway,
Never seen. I couldn't bet on hockey if I had to.
fair enough. Move back to Coach Carter and our interest squabbling about sports betting. So, so they decided that they're going to independently use the time that was supposed to be dedicated to practicing to doing their schoolwork. Everyone brings their grades up. They make it to the finals. They lose. It's a competitive game, but they lose in the last few seconds of the game against fancy championship school. But by that point, they were like, you know what, you can't win them all. And in the final moments of the movie, it tells you that like half of them went on to go to college, and that some of the ones that went on to go to college went on to go do good things.
Well, you get one of the best sports speeches during this movie too. When Worm is asked, he's posed a question early on in the movie, and you know it's going to come back, but he gives one of the best sports speeches when he's taking, I think he's taking his GED, and it's really motivating, and it kind of makes you see things as different light and see what he struggled with because he could go the route of being the drug dealer and everything, but because nobody ever believed in him, his family never believed in him and everything. But once he became part of the team and they came together as a cohesive unit, and Coach Carter actually showed that look, you have people that care about you outside of dealing drugs, and that kind of shows you a different light and the mentor-mentee relationship that he had with his kids.
So, all right, I'll let you keep the ball, as it were. What do you think about Coach Carter? Besides, it's a solid movie.
Yes, top 5 sports movie, in my opinion. One of my favorite basketball movies, and I put it up there, with the likes of, and you're gonna laugh at this, Space Jam. Space Jam's a great movie, great basketball movie.
We've actually reviewed it on Trial, as you know.
Hoosiers, Blue Chips. I put it. Teen Wolf is not a basketball movie anymore.
Sure it is.
I will fucking cut you.
First my clothes catch on fire, then my car hits a tree. It's a catastrophe. You gotta go with the flow, Joe. All right, keep going.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those movies that I could, if I see it on it, I'm immediately stopping and watching it. I'll sit down and watch it, no matter where it's at in the movie. I'll finish watching it out, and it kind of will put a pause on my day, because it's just one of those movies that I could have either on in the background while I'm doing something and watching it, or I could just, if I just want to veg out and watch a good movie, I throw it
on. I really like Coach Carter. Channing Tatum's actually a lot of fun in this. He all the guys on the basketball team are fun to watch. They all give pretty good serviceable performances. The kid that plays the drug dealer, he's got a lot of charm about him. Samuel L. Jackson, he's one of the great actors of our age. He's only been in a zillion movies.
415 movies.
He is fucking beloved. And he doesn't phone it in here. He really gives an earnest performance. The basketball stuff is good. It's fun to watch. Movie's a little long. It clocks in at
probably about 20 minutes.
Yeah, it clocks in at 2 hours and 16 minutes, and cut down the stuff with the kid from Finding Forrester and Ashanti. You don't need as much of that as they give you in this movie. Like his whole thing about I am a kid and I play basketball and I'm not ready to be a father was about all you needed. You kind of pepper some stuff in, but that's the crux of it, is that bit right there. They do a lot more with it than it's really necessary. Beyond that, like I said, you could have shaved this in different areas and gotten this down to a solid 2 hours. But overall, like that's a nitpick. I really, I think Coach Carter is really inspiring. I was reading some of the reviews on, it and they were like, it's a little formulaic, and I'm like, I don't understand the formulaic thing. This isn't like an indie art piece. One, it's an adaptation of a true story. What do you think happened
True
at the end of this?
story.
What do you think happened at the end of it with these, with these kids? They fucking went to Mars. Like, I don't like. They were eaten by cannibals. Like, what do people think is going to happen in these things? It's like,
Incarceration.
I mean, they don't win. They don't win the final game. I think that would have been formulaic if they had, but you know, it's not about winning the big one. It was about finding your manhood and becoming the best adults they could be, the best young men they could be. This was about, the stuff with, it's funny, I can't remember the actress's name. She's the one that serves the shit pie. Um Octavia Spencer. She has a bit in this where her big ass son, who hasn't been going to class, and she like marches him into Samuel Jackson's store, and what a performance he gives. Like, I don't know what else he's done, if anything, but like we've all seen that one kid who is so ashamed of himself, and he's so humbled by whatever's happened to him that it just like you could see the air kind of come out of him, and he just drops his face and his whole head falls off. Like, that's that scene. But she was one of the ones that was initially resistant to everything Carter was doing, and then later on in the movie, she when he suspends him from the team because he won't go to class, she goes to him and she was like, "There's going to be a college recruiter there. I understand what you're doing, but you're kind of cutting off the kid's nose to spite his face. Maybe there's a different way to do this to get to the same point you're trying to get to." And that's a lot of Coach Carter's arc, is that he's not basketball Jesus. He's also, he's also not Black Messiah. He is learning also that maybe his way is not always the best way, and that he too is part of this community. And I like the scene between him and Octavia Spencer. And Octavia Spencer, for what little stuff she has to do in the movie, puts on a really good performance. Like, I like the way she talked to him. And my favorite line is, he was like, "Well, okay, well, I'll talk to him when he's ready." He's like, "He in the car?" Like, she was fucking well prepared. Like, it was a little thing, it was a subtle thing, but her just going, "He in the car," very matter of factly, she turns around to go get him. I'm like, that's
He in the
good.
car.
That's good Black mother right there.
Yeah, and that would have been my mom.
Mm-hmm.
If I would screwed up and she had to go talk to one of my coaches, she would have had me in the car. She would have had me in the car and being like, "Oh no, you're gonna face up. You're gonna own this."
Yeah. So, anything else about Coach Carter?
No, I mean, like I said, if you want a good movie, a good feel good movie, pop this in, enjoy it. Like, it does run, like you said, it does run a little long, but it's worth it.